In this documentary, we will be looking at the representation of Iraq in the media, specifically from the West perspective. This is a multi-modal work, so the content will look at different media to better understand how Iraq is seen or made to be perceived by the West. Chapter 1 will be Iraq as portrayed in Hollywood movies. I have chosen 3 movies: The Yellowbirds, Three Kings, The Men Who Stare at Goats. The first movie is The Yellowbirds. 2 young soldiers, Bartol, 21 years old, and Merv, 18 years old, navigate the terror of Iraq War under the command of the older troubled Sergeant Sterling. All the while, Bartol is tortured by the promise he made to Merv's mother before their deployment. This war movie shows the atrocity of war in Iraq and how it destroys life of soldiers, whether they survive or not. This scene at the bar, the bartender tells Bartol that we ought to nuke those sad niggers back to the Stone Age. Besides this movie representing a sad story of friends who lost their lives in the war, the only idea about Iraq seen in the US is from this bartender scene. The rest of the movie is bombings, guns, death, corpses, and post-traumatic stress disorder, and a mother waiting for her son to come back. The other film, The Three Kings, 1999, in the aftermath of the Persian Gulf War, 4 soldiers set out to steal gold that was stolen from Kuwait, but they discovered people who desperately need their help. This action and adventure movie shows Iraq as a place to loot and find treasure. So, in their own perspective, Iraq is just a place to loot and a desert. A quotation that sums up the whole situation in Iraq is, "It's like a dog fight in the desert. The dogs here being the soldiers and the desert being the land where Iraqis live. The desert is portrayed as slowly driving the US soldiers crazy." Iraq is also portrayed as a rich place to loot. The soldiers' goal of their battle is to obtain gold. This can translate to the reality of the war in Iraq and the oil that the US wants. The soldiers are on a mission, and their sole purpose is to kill mercilessly even after the war is over. The third movie is The Men Who Stare at Goats. A reporter in Iraq might just have the story of a lifetime when he meets Len Cassidy, a guy who claims to be a former member of the US Army's New Earth Army, a unit that employs paranormal powers in their mission. This is a comedic film that portrays Iraq as a place of war, yet of funny incidents and ridiculous adventures. Iraq is portrayed as a place for spiritual enlightenment, a growth in spirit, in wisdom, and in psychic powers, as explained by one of the characters in the movie. The war situation is unfortunate and scary to the characters, and they feel trapped, One character admits that the only reason he followed his friends to Iraq is to prove to his wife that he is a man. Iraq on internet content and social media. Iraq suffers from two main problems in terms of representation on internet content. The first problem is its recent history full of conflicts, wars, invasions, and death. The events since 2003 have affected people's job, education, daily lives, and even faith in life and their country. Likewise, the events created such internet in the whole world, where Iraq became synonymous to war, death, and an inhabitable land. A quick Google search of the term Iraq turns picture of either protests or soldiers. Thus, the impression given by Iraq is one of the two terms. In a similar fashion, Baghdad, which is the capital of Iraq, gives similar results with a bit more image about protesters, fire, destruction, families leaving Iraq, and the falling of Saddam Hussein's statue. Google Trends shows the trend worldwide when people who use the internet to look up the word Iraq on Google. The trend shows a high number from 2003 until the curve flattens around 2010, which means less search. The search rise again around 2014, which marks when ISIS had an authority and reputation in the whole of the Middle East and the world. The surge in search flattens after several months, only to surge again with the assassination of Qasem Soleimani in December 2019. These trends can show a clear picture of how Iraq brings to mind the idea of war, terrorism, and assassination, where people and even Google algorithm relates relate Iraq automatically to these terms, and that is show Iraq is a victim of some events that taint its international picture. The second problem, which taints the picture of Iraq in the world, is its representation in social media. A news source and agencies wants to attract viewers or audience. So the strategy that they can use is fear mongering to keep people all around the world on their toes and make them feel fear, only to seek news to feel a bit safer with the knowledge. The top hashtags, as explained in the article by Sarah Yassin, uses the phrase "you should follow," promising that the hashtag she lists will help understand what is happening in Iraq, while all the hashtags talks about the most deadly and violent events from the time. Even the short introduction to the article mentions and highlights horrifying photos, assuming or convincing the reader that they want to see them. A more recent search of Iraqi news shows, up until today, titles about the ISIS highlighting that they will never let go, shocking the readers to feel hopeless and desperate from a hope that the terrorist group will ever die out. Another article describes the war in Iraq as a forever war, shocking the readers again into losing hope, keeping fear, and feeling unsafe. Those who are safe from all the content which depict Iraq in a negative way as detailed earlier, know what Iraq really is. Its ancient history was rich and prosperous, and even Iraq today has many achievements and a respectable place in Arab culture, has its own culture and folklore, literature, and activities. Iraq, also known as the land between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, were known in ancient times as Mesopotamia, a region frequently referred to as cradle of civilization for being home to one of the earliest human settlements. Iraq's formal history is believed to have started around 4000 before BC, and the land traded between the role of Persian, Greek, Roman, and Ottoman empires. Iraq was the land where many ancient civilizations appeared, grew, and prospered. The oldest known civilization in Mesopotamia, that of the Sumerians, reached its flowering about 3000 years before the Christian era. Thanks to successful agriculture, it could achieve a higher degree of social organization in the form of a series of city-states. Two of these city-states, Ur, where Abraham is said to have been born, and Uruk, are regarded as the first cities in the history of mankind. Babylon and Assyrian civilization. About 4,000 years ago, Babylon civilization arose from the amalgamation of the Sumerian and Akkadian kingdoms. Its capital, Babylon, lay south of Baghdad, close to Euphrates. Under its king, Hammurabi, a well-organized administration was established. The road network was improved to facilitate this administration, and this also stimulated trade. Hammurabi has, however, gone down in history chiefly as the first ruler to have a law code compiled. Cuneiform script. The cuneiform script created in Mesopotamia, present-day Iraq, 3200 BC, was first. It is also the only writing system which can be traced to its earliest prehistoric origin. Iraq culture and folklore. According to US News, Iraq's ranking in terms of heritage is low, except for its rich history, which Iraq is known for. Its ranking is low in terms of being culturally accessible. This can be a result of its reputation and also the recent events. This, in turn, affects criteria such as people not recognizing the geographical or cultural attraction of the rich food it has. As for Iraqi music, either from the past or the modern and contemporary one, is a rich art. Singers sing about love, family, nature, emotion, their country, the war, or their problems. There is a quote by an unknown person who said, I pity the non Iraqis when they break up, they have no Iraqi songs to listen to. Iraqi music nowadays has become linked to emotions, poetic language, and the ability to take you on a journey to heal you from a heartbreak. Iraq literature. Despite numerous conflicts, Iraq's writers display incredible literary virtuosity and versatility. moving between jungle and atmosphere to capture the swiftly changing nation. Iraq has produced well-known authors who have received many awards both from the Arab world or international. A few examples are Anam Kachachi. She has won the Laga Award for Arab novel for Tishari, which was originally published in Arabic in 2013 and translated into French in 2016. Hassan Balasem, perhaps the greatest writer of Arabic fiction alive by The Guardian, who won an Academic Festival Award for Best Work for both his Gardenia and White Clay. He also won the Pen Writer in Translation Award twice. Luay Hamza Abbas achieved international acclaim for his intriguing, song-like collection of fiction. He received many awards, such as Creative Short Story Award from the Iraqi Ministry of Culture 2009 and the Kika Best Short Story Award from London 2006. Activists. In terms of activists, Iraq is proud of a Nobel laureate. She is Nadia Murad, an activist and writer who received the Nobel Prize in 2018. In 2014, she was kidnapped from her hometown, Kojo, and held by the Islamic State for 3 months. Murad is the founder of Nadia's Initiative, an organization dedicated to helping women and children victimized by genocide, mass atrocities, and human trafficking to heal and rebuild their lives and communities. In 2018, she and Dennis uh, Mukwege were jointly awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for their efforts to end the use of sexual violence as a weapon of war and armed conflicts. Iraq is not the battlefield of the East. Iraq is not a land of death. Iraq is a land for life and love. This is the Iraqi anthem. It said, "O my homeland, O my homeland, the majesty, the beauty, sublimity, and the glamour in your hills, the life, the salvation, the bliss, the hope in your fresh air. Would I see you prosperous and victorious, honored? I will see you rising after, stumbling in greatness and transcendence." Thank you for listening.